Hey guys, Terry here. It's a beautiful sunny day in Columbus, Ohio, and I wanted to show you, I'm seeing from the comments of people who watch my brother scan and cut videos, many of you have the machine and you haven't cracked it out of the box yet. So this video is to encourage you to try these 3 simple, easy things with your brother scan and cut, because I think if you get these things down, then you're just going to have a lot more confidence. So first I want to show you my setup here. This is my craft room, and I have both my Cricut and my scan and cut on my desk. That way I've got easy access to use the software if I want to, or I can use them, especially the brother scan and cut, I can use it by itself. But I want to show you that these things are easy to do. So let's get started. We're going to do 3 things. We're going to cut a built-in shape, we're going to use the markers, and we're going to scan and cut something. So let's do that. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut out a built-in shape. So I've got my mat here. I'm using the purple one. I don't find a lot of difference between the purple one and the blue one. One's called standard, one's called medium. And mine has really lost its tack. I mean, I've had my brother scan and cut for a couple years, so I just attach my paper with Scotch tape, and this has worked fine. So I've got my project. You could also use tape runner and put a little tack down, but I just find that if I tape it on all 4 sides, it keeps the paper from scooting around. So let's load this into the machine. And I'm just going to hit the load button right up here at the top. And then I'm going to pull it out away from the back of my desk here. So I want to show you here on the menu. Let's go to Home, and we'll pick a pattern. So I'm just going to pick a basic shape, and if you want to know all the different shapes that are on here, you can go to the Brother Scan and Cut website and download the PDF that has all these shapes on there. I've got another video on how I show how to find that PDF, so I'll link that down below. But let's just pick a shape here, and you can see it's got all kinds of fun shapes. So let's just pick a flower. We'll just pick that one. When you pick it, it asks for what size you want it, and I'm just going to leave it that size for now, just to save time. Okay, if there's a particular place on the mat that you wanted to put it, you can actually scan your mat and find where on the paper you want to cut it. But for today, we're just picking that shape, putting it on here, clicking on OK. We've got it on the mat, and now we're going to cut it. Now, before I hit cut, one of the things I want to do is I want to check how deep I've got the blade set to. So I don't know if you could see that. I've got it set at a 4. This paper that I'm cutting isn't too thick. If it was a very thick piece of cardstock, I might put it all the way up to 6. But I'm going to leave it, let's try 5. Between 4 and 5 usually does it. I'm just going to put it on 5 just to make sure. And you can do a test cut. I'll just say that I've got, the model I'm using is the 650. The newer one, you don't have to change this dial. So it's kind of handy, but I don't mind changing it. And a lot of times I'm using the same similar cardstock and leave it at a 5. So I'm going to pop that back in, push that little lever down, and now we're ready to cut. So now we just have to hit the start button. It tells me it's going to take about a minute. Okay, and I left that at regular speed so that you could see. And now I'm just hitting the mat unload. And there we did it. We cut a shape. So like I said, I would get familiar with the shapes that are in there. There's gobs of them. And that's how we cut a simple shape out. We could size it. We could cut it on any color of paper, so it's very handy. I'll also say that I used a built-in shape, but there's a USB port, and you can also just have a downloaded shape on a USB, plug it in your machine, pick it on the menu, and then you could cut that shape out and size it to what you want. So that is how to simply cut. So next we're going to do markers. Okay, for marker, I'm just going to put a white piece of paper on here just so that you can see it. Draw it nicely here. Again, I'm just taping my paper down. If you have a sticky mat, you don't need to use tape. I'm going to load my mat. Okay, so now to draw, I'm going to get out one of my pens. And I'll just mention too that they make a universal pen holder. I'll show that in a subsequent video, so be sure to subscribe so that you see that when it comes out. But I am going to use the pen holder. So with your machine, it should have come with a pen holder. So here it is. To open it up, you just push on this little lever here, and then it will open up. We're going to put the marker down inside it. Dropped it down in there, close it, and then there's a little place to put the cap. So now we're going to drop this in just like we did the blade and get it seated down in there and then snap it shut. Okay, so now instead of cutting out this flower, let's draw it. We are simply going to click on draw and hit start. Again, it says about a minute it's going to take. There we go. I'm going to hit unload the mat. And there it is. It drew our flower. Okay, so any of the shapes that are in there, you can replace the blade with the marker and draw it. So then the last thing we're going to try, and I do hope that you're getting your machine out and trying these things, we're going to scan and cut something. So let's try that next. Okay, here's the last thing that I want you to try with your scan and cut. I've replaced the marker with the blade, and I have put a white piece of paper on here. Now I could have stamped something on here, or I can have an image that I'm scanning, but for this purpose I'm just going to draw something by hand just to show you that you can scan anything that you've got an outline on. So what I was careful to do when I drew something was I made sure that it was a solid line. You can have loops or something, but it just can't be a shape like this or something that doesn't close, because it won't see that as a complete shape. So sometimes when you use a stamp, if that stamped image doesn't have a complete closed edge for it to follow around, you have to take a pencil and draw it and close that line off with a pencil, and then after you cut it you can erase that. But for this practice here, you can either draw something or stamp it on your paper. So then let's go up here to the menu, and this time we're going to select the scan option, and we're just going to direct cut it. If it was a shape that I wanted to keep and always reuse, I could save it, but here I'm just going to do the direct cut, and I'm saving it to the machine, and then I'm telling it to start. So it's going to load that whole mat. It's going to read the whole mat. You can see it's coming out the back of the machine, and then we'll see it recognize the shape. So now it says what part of the mat do you want to use here, and I don't know if you can see here, but it's got the edge of the paper. I want to zoom this in so that it is not seeing the edge of that paper. So I'm just bringing that in, and I'm going to have it, I want to show you what it does with that image that doesn't have a solid line. So now it's going to do the recognizing. Okay, we can hit OK. Now here's this shape here. This is nice because I can tell it the distance to cut around it. So notice, I'm going to tell it just a little bit of an edge around it, and that usually makes it cut out just like a die would around a stamped image. Okay, and I'm hitting OK, and now I'm going to tell it to cut, and then I just have to hit start. Okay, so that was very quick. Let's unload the mat. When I unload it, it says now it's going to lose the image, and we're okay with that. We didn't want to save this image. So then here's how it cut out. So there's our hand-drawn shape. So that could have been a handwritten word, or something that you stamped, or an image that you're scanning. The more basic the image, the better. And then, so this one kind of made a liar out of me. This one, it was able to cut around that. So I'm pretty impressed. But I have used stamp sets before where if there's just a little bit of a line, it will not see the whole image. And you'll notice that when it's on the screen, you'll see that it didn't get the whole thing. Okay, so I hope that this, I hope this was a very quick tutorial that showed you can use your scan and cut. So get that machine out of the box, plug it in, get familiar with the patterns that are built in, and try scanning and cutting stuff. So I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.